Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webcast. Best of 2021, Top 10 Employee Benefits for Remote and Borderless Organizations, sponsored by SafetyWing. This webcast has been pre-approved for HRCI and can be submitted for SHRM credit. Please be sure to attend the complete webcast in order to receive your credits. If you have any questions during the webcast, click on the Q&A tab in your webinar controls and type them there. A new tab will open in your browser with the webcast survey. Please be sure to complete it as soon as the webcast is ended. It is now my pleasure to turn it over to SafetyWing for the presentation.
Thank you, HR.com and Hester. It's a pleasure to meet you here. I'm not sure if anybody has joined yet because I can't see the screen. Maybe Hester, you can tell me if anybody is on?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
And the numbers are rising as we go.
Awesome. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We will wait until 5 minutes after the hour, depending on where you're located. I'm not going to say 11:05, but 5 minutes after the hour. So maybe in the meantime, what you can do is type in the chat box where you're from. We'd love to see where everybody is kind of like calling from or joining this conference from, this webinar. And maybe if Charles, oh yeah, I can see the numbers going up. Okay, cool. If you see anything in the chat, let me see. Oh, I can't see the chat. Okay. So maybe, okay, more people are coming. Hello, everyone. We're just waiting until 5 minutes after the hour. Welcome to the webinar. We'll start in 5 or 3 or so minutes. I can see the hour here. If you can type where you're joining from, say hello. Would love to kind of understand where everyone is coming from.
You should be able to see the chat from your floating menu bar, the 3 dots at the top of your floating menu on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
If you click on that, you should be able to open the chat from there.
Oh, chat. Cool. All right, great. Yeah, so we have Dallas, Texas, Boise, Idaho, Reston, Virginia, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Nashville, Central Ohio, Chicago, Columbia, Missouri, Mexico. Cool. Santa Barbara, good morning. Indiana, Connecticut. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. This is great. Okay, so let's see. I love this chat. Cool. One more. Who do we have? Cool. Savannah, Georgia, Indiana, India. Oh, India. Wow. Must be late over there. Hi, everyone. Welcome. And thank you so much for joining this webinar. I'm so excited to share with you the presentation. We'll wait for 5 minutes after the hour to start. So right now, I'm assuming it's 3 minutes after because I can't see the clock. Morning, Las Vegas. Wow, it's early there. Must be 8 a.m. for you guys. Thank you for joining us. We were just mentioning that we should have started it a bit later so that people from the West Coast can join us a bit easier. So next time, we'll do a better job with that to include everyone, especially in the US. Very cool. Awesome. As you're joining, please, type where you're coming from. Would love to see where everybody is joining us today. A couple more minutes and we'll start the conversation here. Maybe Hester, you can tell me what time it is, maybe.
It's you have about 30 seconds.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, let me know when it's a go. Oh, hey, New York. Yay. Colorado, Orange County. Good morning. Oh, Colorado. It's early over there too, huh? 9 a.m. probably. We have more from Dallas. There's California. Good morning. It's early. Evening from India. Indeed. It must be what, like 7 p.m. in India? Just guessing. Oh, UK. Oh, 8:34. I was close. Okay. We have someone from the UK. You're 5 hours ahead of us, so it's 4 p.m. there. Cool. Welcome. Okay, great. So it's 11:05. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Today, I'm really excited to share with you some really great benefits that employees and contractors are looking for. I know that many of you are either working remotely or maybe doing the hybrid thing. Maybe you're distributed in different countries. We're actually going to have a quick poll here pretty soon. So in a few seconds, hr.com will pop up some questions for you on the screen. This will give us an idea of how the group is made up, whether you are in one location, in 2, 3 or more. So maybe Hester, if you want to show that poll, that would be fantastic. This will give us an idea kind of like who's here. So there's a few questions. Is your organization borderless? The first one is no, and we don't have plans to become borderless. Second one is no, but we do want to become borderless in the future. Third one is yes, we're in 2 countries. Fourth is yes, we're in 3 to 5. And the last one is yes, we are in 6 or more. I'm really excited to see what everyone votes. We are 6 or more. Let's see. Oh, I can't vote. Okay. Great. Oh, wow. So with the first one, it's 57%. It says no. And then the rest, so 40-some% would like to go borderless. And actually pretty good amount is at 6 or more or 3 to 5, which is great. Okay, so this is really interesting then. I'm usually used to doing this presentations with teams that are distributed or those that really want to do that, but it's going to be really interesting here. I will share with you some really great benefits, and then I would like to leave quite a bit of room at the end for questions. So if you want to prepare those ahead of time, please do and put them in the chat. And then Charles, who's helping me set up the webinar, will also read them at the end and we'll get to all of your questions. I believe that this should be a bit more interactive this versus me talking the whole time. So that's why I'd love to see your questions at the end. Okay, so quick introduction. My name is Lona. I am the head of revenue at SafetyWing. I'm also a startup founder myself, an advisor to a lot of different startups. And I'd like to call myself a remote work expert because I started working remotely almost 10 years ago. And the reason for that is that I had this big dream out of college. I wanted to see the whole world. I wanted to go to 185 countries, depending who's counting. Some of them will say 200 countries in the world. And I just really wanted to explore that. And I wanted to bring work with me. I didn't want to sit in an office and be told when to come in and when to leave, and also sit in traffic. So at the time, I convinced my boss to let me travel the world and also work. And I was able to make it to 80 countries of the world. I lived in 4 continents, and I learned 7 languages during that time. So really, I've seen huge benefits because of remote work. And also fast forward, COVID hit. I know that the world got a taste of remote work. Therefore, many people would like to keep it that way, especially parents. Now I'm a parent myself. I have 2 kids. And for me, remote work is the great equalizer for women, especially because we can be parents that are present, but also we can be stars at work. So we can perform really well because we don't have to waste that time, commuting or sitting in an office and not seeing our kids. So for me, it's really fantastic. I know that for others is not for them, which is great. And I totally respect that. But I'm really excited to show you what those benefits can mean for your team and as the team expands and what you can offer them. So who are we? Just in one slide, we are SafetyWing. We are building a global social safety net for remote workers and distributed teams. And what that means is that we offer this cross-border benefits for remote workers that work in over 185 countries. What those are remote health, which is fully blown health insurance that travels with you wherever you go. We have remote doctor. We are going to have remote retirement, life insurance, income protection, really to round out that benefits package for your team that might be in different countries. So as we know, the opportunity is that remote work is here to stay in one way or the other. Most companies are expected to stay remote. We saw that PwC just announced last week that all 40,000 of their team members will be remote now, which is pretty interesting. But choosing to work remotely should not mean that you don't have benefits. And traditional benefits like ping pong tables or free beer Fridays or bring your pet to work days are irrelevant for those that will stay working from home or are in different countries. So as a remote first company ourselves, we interviewed more than a dozen other remote companies to really figure out what are these teams offering and what are the employees and contractors asking for. So I'll dive into it right away. The first one that employees and contractors and team members really love is location independence. And what that means is really allowing them to go wherever they want to go. I know that some companies see this as losing control or not being able to, contact or not being able to manage or not being able to control where their employee or team member is in. But we see this as a huge perk and this freedom that it gives your people to do what they want. And as they do what they want and love, they will be that much more motivated to work for you. If you remember before COVID, a lot of millennials were quitting jobs and living in a van. They had to do that because companies weren't offering them to live in a van and also work doing their job. So now post-COVID, we've seen that remote work is definitely very efficient. So why not allow people to be anywhere? Now, sure, certain time zones might not fit. So you can say, within these continents makes sense. Like for example, at SafetyWing, we say that the Asian time zones do not work very well just because when it's morning here, it's really late there. So for example, the 11 o'clock now, it's 8:30 p.m. in India, depending on the time, daylight savings, it can get even later. So it's really tough to be, working that time zone if most of us are in Europe, in the US and Latin America. So that's really fantastic to really allow everyone to live everywhere. We have a team member that lives on a sailboat in the Caribbean permanently. So she sails from island to island and still manages to get all of her work done. She's been here over a year, super inspiring. And all of us are pretty much distributed everywhere. So, think about this. It's something that people want, especially the younger generation. They really want to be free, but still do their work in a location where it's best for them. Benefit number 2 is offering minimum vacation days. What that means is that you tell or you suggest to your team members that you should take vacation. I know a lot of startups and companies will have this unlimited PTO, which became very popular in the last 5 years. I know I used to live in Silicon Valley. This was the thing that most of the big companies were offering. However, that led to almost a burnout culture because no one took any PTO. So the unlimited PTO became no PTO at all. And that's because leadership was not taking any time off because your investors have so much pressure. You have to work, perform. Therefore, there's no time for you as a CEO to leave or go anywhere. And the people that look up to you see that they're like, well, I shouldn't take any PTO. So therefore you have people working 12 hours, 14 hours a day, burning themselves out, really terrible. And what I love here at SafetyWing is that we offer 20 days of minimum vacation. And what that means is that everyone has to take that. And it starts with the people at the top. So the founders, there's 3 founders here, they will take their time off. They will take a week in Q1, a week in Q2, or maybe combine 2 weeks in another quarter. And really, they show us that it's okay to take time off. It's okay to come back refreshed. It's actually very beneficial, to the company and the person to really get some time off. Benefit number 3 is paid team gatherings in cool destinations. I can't tell you how amazing this is if you're able to offer it from a budget perspective. I know that many of you might not be able to offer it because you're in big organizations. But think about if you get rid of this office space that you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you're a big company, you can use that money towards investing in this really great team gatherings that really foster great connection between team members. For example, just a month ago, we all gathered in Slovenia. We're about 50 people in the strategy team, but maybe 100 altogether with customer service. So we were able to gather in Ljubljana, Slovenia. It's the capital of that country. Amazing, beautiful, gorgeous place. And we had the best time being there together, especially after the pandemic. It was so emotional, so great to be everyone together, and we got so much done, but also had time to explore and rest and really enjoy the country. So I'm really grateful that we had that week there. We actually do this 3 to 4 times a year, which is fantastic. The next one is coming up. It's going to be in Mexico and then Bali. So it's a great, great benefit that you can offer your team, that not only the team benefits, but the company does, because people will come out of it so excited with amazing ideas that they want to start putting it into practice, and that can give your company a growth spurt that you didn't expect. So I'd say if you can, definitely offer this. Benefit number 4. This is really interesting. We have these goals that we set each quarter, and one of them is a personal goal. So that's like, how are you going to become a better person, not only at work, but also for yourself. So these could be in forms of different courses or maybe different subscriptions, coaching, if you need to, books. So we have, subscriptions to Audible, or we can buy a book from Amazon, whatever we think it's best. But really, this is fantastic because I've seen people use this to really improve their skills or, level themselves up in whatever area that they're curious about. So I think this is really fantastic to be able to offer it. People really appreciate it. Benefit number 5. I know that many of you have probably seen this and probably used this. This is a stipend for home office. Very, very important, I think, in this day and age, because you want to be able to have a comfortable chair, a desk, as well as, a good laptop or computer. That way, when you're spending those 8 to whatever hours in front of your computer, you don't develop any health issues. This is really big because when we're young, we ignore this. We kind of like sit from wherever, work from the, the couch, the bed. I'm very guilty of doing this myself. And I love doing those things, but I know that it's really bad for my health. So having the ability to charge a comfortable chair to the company or a desk, it's really, really fantastic. And it tells me that my company cares and they want me to be healthy. So this is great. Benefit number 6, this is a CPA for tax season. I know some of you will be like, what, why? Well, for people like myself, I will have lived in 5 different jurisdictions this year. So in Puerto Rico, in Miami, New York, DC, And then all over Europe. So Slovenia, Croatia, Bulgaria, Albania. I was in many different places this summer. I need to figure out where do I pay taxes, and this can get very complicated. So if I had a CPA that was free of charge that I could use, this would be really fantastic for me as a benefit. Benefit number 7, I put this there as number 7, but really it's the number 1 benefit. So health insurance, when employees and contractors are surveyed, the majority of them would prefer health insurance provided by the company versus a higher salary. So what that means is that as you're growing and you have team members, it's really great to really offer them this health insurance versus offering a stipend or maybe some money on the side, because health insurance can be complicated, and also a stipend is not equal everywhere. By offering health insurance to them, you're treating everyone equally the same. So I would encourage you to look into doing this type of thing for your team versus just giving them some kind of a stipend or no stipend at all. Number 8, this is remote retirement. So we were talking about this before the webinar started with Hester from HR.com. And we were talking about how some people have to work beyond retirement age these days. So I think that it's really important that we build products that our team members can retire in the place they want to retire in. So whether that is, Canada, the US, maybe Japan, maybe Argentina, I don't know where that place is for you, but there should be an option out there that tells you that to retire in this country, this is how much you have to save, and this is the age where you will be able to retire in that country. And actually, we are building a product like this coming out next year. I think this will be fantastic because many people want to retire early, or they want to retire on time when they're supposed to. So they should have this option to be able to retire in a less expensive country if they want to. And this plan would allow them to have a specific amount each month in perpetuity almost, which is pretty fantastic. As we know, usually retirement plans just will give you like either a lump sum or something like that, and you don't know how much to spend, and maybe you start spending a lot, and then you're like, oh, wait a second, maybe I won't have enough. What if I live to be 100? So it's really important that we build products for teams that will help them live a great life beyond retirement as well. So I think this is really cool, and I can't wait for this product. Benefit number 9 is really some tools and technologies for higher autonomy. These are the tools that we use and love. I don't work for them, nor do we get paid to say this, but I just want to share this with you. As a distributed team, we like to use Notion because it's like an internal wiki. We put everything in there, from weekly goals to our quarterly goals to strategy meetings to sprints that we're doing, all the priorities we put on there. So really we use it almost like as an Asana or something like that. So everything goes in Notion, our careers page, our benefits, mission, vision, goals, everything goes on there. And it's really easy to kind of build out. It doesn't require any technology, super quick for everyone to pick up. Teamflow has also been really interesting for us. It's basically a virtual office. You can really customize it. You can add the furniture you want. It's really, really great. We have all of our meetings there. So we meet Mondays and Thursdays for 2 hours, and we're all in a room, kind of like sitting around each other. And it really feels like you're in an office, but you're not, you're virtual. And to be honest, like when I met everyone for the first time in the company after a year being there, because of this virtual office, I felt immediately connected to them, and they look the same as they look on the screen. So it wasn't like, oh, wait, you're a different person than I thought. It was exactly how they looked on the screen, which is really cool. So it's cool that technology is allowing us to get so much closer to each other and to be able to emulate that office setting, but in a virtual kind of place. Then Loom is also an interesting kind of like video that you can record things and you can send them. This really helps with tacit knowledge. And tacit knowledge is learned when you see someone doing something. So for example, if let's say you want to show how dashboard works and how it looks, you just go in and record a video and someone can learn from just seeing that flow versus explaining it in an email. So, or if you are trying to explain maybe like a roadmap or where the product is going, kind of like an idea, you can, record a video with the screen recording it, and it's much easier to understand the concept. And of course, Slack. I think everybody uses Slack. It's pretty easy to kind of have the communication. What I want to mention with Slack as a benefit is that I love our culture because we are not an anxious culture. And what that means is that you don't have to respond to Slack within seconds or minutes, unless it's so urgent that it can't wait. But I haven't seen that in a year being here. So I would suggest that maybe if it is in your culture, to give people that Slack and not say you must respond, otherwise you're not working. Really trust that they will do the work. And I manage a team of 14 people. So I know what that's like. And I've been able, to trust them and look at the outcomes versus being anxious, like, is anybody working or aren't they responding? I haven't had to do that. And really that comes from management and the founders. So that they pass that down to me and make me feel comfortable and make me feel that it's okay if people don't respond right away, as long as they show that they can do their work. And it's proven that they're able to do their work. So we never had to change this, which makes me really happy, because I wouldn't want to. I've been in that culture where I'll be in Paris working from there, and then I get a message and it's like, oh my God, I have to be at my desk. Like you just ruins your whole day. It's like, why? Like I'm a good worker. I can get my work done. Why do I have to be bound by a certain time or by somebody sending me a message? I should be allowed to live my life and work in a calm space. And then when I have time, I'll manage my Slack messages, or whenever I feel like I want to engage, I can do that. Of course, within reason, right? I'm not saying reply after a month. So I had to say that. Benefit number 10. This is really cool because now that we can hire people from anywhere in the world, it's really great that we can find the most passionate people that believe in the mission. And really how to find that is through these platforms, which actually we partner with a lot of them, like, Panther, Deal, Oyster, Omnipresent. They allow you to hire people compliantly anywhere in the world. This is really cool because, again, like it allows you to tap into this talent pool that you weren't able to before. I mean, before you'd look within a 20-mile radius, that would be your talent pool. But imagine finding the most passionate person that believes in the mission, but also the most competent. And that person can be anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be within a 20 or 50-mile radius. So I think this is really awesome. Okay, so this is the 10 benefits, but Charles, which helped me put this webinar together, put 2 more here, which are really interesting. Equity. This is a big one, especially for startups, as we are seeing many companies become unicorns. I think it's over 1,000 of them now that are unicorns in the world. So the numbers are huge. I mean, if you put it into perspective, in 2000, there was like 1 unicorn, meaning $1 billion plus company valuation. And now it's just exploded. And I think it's 1,000 or 2,000 of them. And it's only going to get bigger. What that means is that these companies get extremely valuable as the time goes on. So you, as the employee, contractor, team member, having equity in that company can really set you up for that retirement, can really set you up for doing great things in life. And I've seen this over and over again, being in Silicon Valley and New York in the past 10 years, I was privileged to witness some of these unicorns starting from zero to $100 billion almost, like Stripe, for example. I met the founders, they're like 19 years old, starting this company out of Y Combinator, and now they have a $100 billion company. So many people, really benefited from that. Airbnb the same, Uber, Lyft, you name it. So again, equity motivates people. So make sure that you do offer it in your company, however that you structure it. But it is a great motivator. And finally, another bonus benefit is equitable pay regardless of location. Now, actually, this is a very hot topic right now because, as you saw, I think Facebook was the one that said, if you live in San Francisco, but you move to Austin, you'll get paid less. I think this caused a big media frenzy because people don't think that's right. I believe personally that people should get paid based on their experience and what they bring to the table. However, that could have its flaws as well. But as a company, we believe in equal pay for everyone. So basically, everyone in our team gets paid exactly the same, no matter where you live, no matter where you choose to go. No matter, if tomorrow you want to go to Timbuktu, you can do that. We don't say oh, well, actually the cost of living there is less, so we'll pay less. And we don't know whether we're right or wrong. It's just something that has worked really well for us so far. No one has left the company. We have pretty much 100% retention. But also we don't pay you San Francisco rates. So it's not going to be that you're going to get this super high salary and then we won't be able to be competitive in the market because then, we were paying so much out. So this is interesting. I think do what's right for your team. Maybe you can ask them hey, here's what we're thinking about. Do you think this makes sense? Would it make you happy? Would it make you stay? And then see what they say. So I would highly recommend that. So that's part of my presentation. I want to actually now turn the attention to you and ask and answer your questions because I think it's really important that we have a discussion versus just someone sitting here telling you things. So with that, if you guys have typed any questions, maybe I'll have Charles read them off to me since I'm only seeing the big screen and I can't see the questions. Oh, I see Q&A.
Yeah, Lona, and yeah, some good questions coming in so far in the Q&A and through the chat. And yeah, definitely get in your questions now. We've got quite a few that are coming in, but we'll try to get through as many as possible here in the next 25-ish minutes. So Lona, I'm going to go back to slide, or I guess benefit 10, where you showed some of the technologies, but one of our audience members is asking, can you offer some resources or companies that you leverage for remote retirement and borderless health insurance? And then just maybe we can talk about some of the technologies that are out there and what they do for global hiring. So.
Yes, absolutely. So the first question I'll address is the borderless health insurance. That's what SafetyWing does. It's actually a very, very hard problem to solve. We were able to solve this about 3 years ago when the company was started, maybe almost 4 now. And we were able to build this product in a way that no one else has been able to do before. So typically health insurance will say, okay, where are your people located? All right, so 2 in Argentina, two in Italy, and you'd have to source local insurances everywhere, or maybe get some kind of a global plan, but it has limitations. So it'll say, well, you can only have 2 national Argentinians and the rest have to be expats, where we took away all of that complexity. So instead of you sourcing all these different insurances in different countries, having to deal with different invoices, different prices, as well as at renewal, I mean, it would be a nightmare for that administrator to do all of this as your company is growing and you're adding more people from all over the world. We said, let's make this super simple. Let's offer one plan, one price. It covers everywhere in the world except the US. That's a different plan because, as we know, the US is very complicated. So that's what we did. We put this plan together and we've seen a ton of demand from startups, scale-ups, bigger companies that really want to simplify that process. They want to have this like simple dashboard, which maybe I'm able to show here. Like this dashboard over here, where basically you can have the people's names, their location, where they are the dependents, as well as their monthly costs, and then you can easily stop or add members with a button, versus again having to work with different paperwork, keeping track of, you know, where things are, having to pay different invoices different times. Yeah, becomes a huge nightmare, especially if you have people in more than 2 or 3 countries. The other question was on remote retirement. Let's see. I have that here. Remote retirement. You said, what products are we using to offer that? Well, actually, we're just working with a couple of like the big players to negotiate what can be done so that we're able to offer this in a global scale. We saw that people needed this. It's not available in a global scale. It's available country by country. And again, as an employer, as you're hiring people in different places, you want to give them this package. You want to tell them, hey, we're taking care of you, starting with your health insurance, with your retirement, with your income protection, XYZ. So being able to really get this product right will be really important because nothing else exists out there in the market. I can't say too much about it because it's in the making right now, but as we roll that out next year, we're happy, you know, to give you more information there. And then the other question was about, it was about the platforms that you can use to hire people. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but some of these companies like Panther Deal, Oyster, Omnipresent, Lano, there's a bunch of them that allow you to hire people anywhere in the world compliantly and pay them. So right before these companies, basically your options as an employer were to go on Upwork, maybe contract someone, and then figure out a way to pay them, whether it was through PayPal, TransferWise. It was a mess. Like I had to do this with my startup, always trying to figure out like, how do we send the money? Is it legal? Do I need to set up a legal entity? Then I set up a legal entity in the Netherlands, and then I had to set up another one. It becomes a mess. Like how you can do that if you're like a smaller company. It's really tough to set up legal entities everywhere because it's really expensive as well. So these companies made it easy. They're like, hey, you can use us as the employee of record, and also we will pay these people, and it will be compliant for you. So if you're a team of 5 or a team of 1,000, you can hire these companies, or you can be on their platform and set up a contract super easy in 2 minutes. They send it to the person, they set up the payment stuff. You don't have to do a thing. So basically within seconds, you hire someone from anywhere, like Kosovo, you know, Italy, Germany, wherever you want to. Within seconds, that's done. You don't have to worry about figuring out ways of contracts of the country and what about the liability of being an employer. You don't have to worry about any of that. So everything is done for you. I'm sure some of you know more about these platforms. Some of you maybe know less. So that's why I'm explaining so much. But happy to give you more information or send it to the right people or their websites. Charles, should we go to the next question?
Yeah, we'll go ahead. So we've actually got 2 related questions. I'm just going to read them both. at the same time, and then we can just talk about it a little bit. All right, so the first question is, how does your company handle tax withholding if if employees move so often? Then the other question is, how do you deal with payroll, local and federal taxes in terms of residency and work permits? So maybe we can just talk about the tax part. Maybe that's important. Maybe that's why the CPA is so important, but I'll just turn it over to you.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. And actually, where it comes down to is that the employer or the contractor has to decide what their tax residence is. So for me, being a US citizen, I have to choose the US as my tax residence. So it's not as complicated, but I know that many people do have questions as they're living all over the world. I do know this, that you have to choose where you pay taxes, and you should pay taxes somewhere. I know that some people say that, oh, if you make up to 107, and if you live a certain amount of time outside of the US, you can avoid paying taxes together, but I'm not sure if I would recommend that. I recommend being a tax resident somewhere or wherever that makes sense for you. For me, it's the US, even though I'm out of the US for quite some time, even 6 months or more sometimes. I am talking to someone like a tax expert maybe in the next week or so to really understand what those implications are. But basically for the company, you don't have to worry so much because the person has to choose where the residence is, and then you pay them through that residence. So let's say you hire someone and they say their country of residence is Italy. You put that in one of these platforms like Panther Deal, Lano, Omnipresent, Oyster, and then they deal with that part, like how much they withhold, what do they have to pay to the government, all of that. You don't have to worry about any of that, and you're not liable for that. So yeah, the tax implications are definitely very complex, and I can't sit here and tell you exactly because I'm not a CPA, but I can tell you a little bit of what I know being a nomad and remote worker.
Thanks. Okay, so then let's move on. There's a couple of questions on the minimum vacation days. So the first question is, what do you do if someone doesn't take their minimum vacation days? How do you handle that situation?
That's a really great question because I myself have a problem doing that. So as I lead this big company, this big team, and it's growing, I realize I need to take vacation. And I have an issue with that because I came from a culture where in Silicon Valley, where it was like, oh, you must work as hard as possible. You should never take any time off. So I am going to force myself to actually take 2 or 3 weeks off in December. And because we also get a week there, and just take the whole month off and reset. And I'm going to make myself do this because throughout the year, because I enjoy my work so much and I can do it from anywhere, I don't really have to take any vacation. So that's why it's really easy and great. But I know that I'm setting a bad example for those people that are in my team. Therefore, I do need to take that. We don't do anything right now in terms of like, oh, you didn't take your vacation, here is your punishment. But we really encourage it. And it's like, yeah, everyone at the top is doing it, or the founders are doing it. So why not take advantage of it? If you can't take advantage of it, maybe somebody else is going to talk to you about it, but we really don't have something in place where if you don't take it, then I don't know, something happens. It doesn't go to the next year, I don't think so. But even if it does, like, would you take 2 months off? I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, and then how do you handle sick days and other paid PTO? That's the other question.
Paid PTO, sick days. Oh, I think maybe we lump them all together. So sick days are also part of that 20 days off. To be honest, we haven't seen any issues or problems. It seems like a good amount of time for people to do. It's like it's a month off. And you get that from day one. So it's not like you need to be there for 6 months to be able to get it. You qualify. Now, what I will say about sick leave, which in the US equates to also maternity leave, it's kind of strange. We, at our company, we give you 4 months on top of what the country gives you. So let's say you are living in Germany at the time, and Germany gives you 6 months or a year. We give you another 4 months on top of that, which is fantastic. But if you're in the US and the US gives you, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks or nothing, then we give you 4 months, which is pretty fantastic for mothers to be and fathers to be. So we do it both for moms and dads, which is really awesome. And I haven't heard many companies doing that.
All right, so we've got quite a few more questions coming in. A couple of them on the self-development budget. All right, so regarding the personal self-development budget, do you suggest the materials or provide a catalog library of resources for employees to choose from, or does the employee have the freedom, responsibility for sourcing their own material?
It's the second one. So yeah, freedom, responsibility to do whatever you want. And I think that's really cool. And no one tells you like, oh, you must do this, or here is where you should choose from. And this is like this narrow thing. I think I like the way it is now. I think maybe it could be interesting having a Notion page where it's like, okay, here's some, actually we do have that where certain people are posting what they're doing if they want to. Nothing, we're never made to do anything. And that's the great thing about this company, is that they don't tell you what to do, or you know, there's no top down, like you must do this thing. We suggest, and if you are convinced, then you go along for the ride. And if you're not, then you ask questions and maybe you challenge, but no one will tell you what to do. And that's really great, especially for people like me that are startup founders, entrepreneurial, you know, don't really like to be told what to do. I think it's really great to have ideas and share them with your team and see what would be best for them, but not really, yeah, say, here's what you should do and I need you to do this thing. But yeah, like we can do whatever we want there with that with the personal budget. There's some really awesome things that I'm doing. Like there's some things that I want to learn. Like I want to do more of this, or like I want to learn how to invest more, like maybe invest in startups. And, you know, so there's like certain things that I can navigate, or I want to, yeah, be a great public speaker, then you can take those classes. And there's also not a limit. So they don't tell you like, oh, it's only $500 a month or it's $10,000 a year. It's actually, you know, within reason that you think is reasonable. So that also gives you quite, you know, some room to choose what's best for you versus within a budget of the company.
That was actually the next question too. It was, how much do you recommend for the budget? So is there like a range that you would say is reasonable?
To be honest, I love that, you know, leaving it up to the team member is the best, because I think all of us are reasonable people. So we will choose what is best for both you and the company. And that's how it's been working here. So we haven't seen anyone abuse the system. And whenever I ask, let's say the founders, like, hey, what is this budget? They're like, well, it's up to you, you know, like you pick. So if you want the best of the best in this field and that costs X amount, then so be it. But we really haven't seen that. And to be honest, like if you improving yourself will improve your performance at work, and if that costs, let's say $5,000, then it's worth for the company to pay it, because you will be that much more efficient, that you'll be that much better doing your job than you would otherwise. So it's actually to the company's benefit to really offer this thing, even though you think it's to your benefit as a person, it benefits the company and the team as a whole. I truly believe so. But I can't say what that should be. I think it's, again, putting people in a box, which I don't like to do.
We actually have a funny question that came in. That's, are you taking applications? So I think this person likes some of the SafetyWing policies.
Thank you. Yes, they're pretty awesome. But yes, go to the careers page. We should have it on our website, SafetyWing.com, and should be careers. We always have different positions available. Right now, yeah, you know, we need a lot of engineers to build awesome products, but we have some, great people. So yeah, definitely apply.
Cool. All right, so let's see. We've got a few more questions here. We've got about 10 minutes. So if you do have a question, feel free to type it in there and we'll get it answered for you. All right.
Okay,
So
and Charles, should I go faster answering them or slower? What do you guys prefer?
yeah,
So we can get to all of them.
Let me count how many we have left. 1, 2,
Okay.
3. We've got 4 left currently.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so you've got time, couple
We have
minutes
time.
apiece.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So the next one here is many individuals are leaving their companies due to inflation and their employer limiting pay increases. How are companies recruiting remote workers based off this new concern?
Sorry, how are companies?
Yeah. So how are companies recruiting remote workers based off this new concern?
Okay, I'm not sure I understand it correctly, but if I might rephrase it, is that right now, yes, we've seen the Great Resignation start, I think in May of 2021, and it's going strong. And actually, recently, we just hit a record number of people quitting their jobs. Some of those is due to these benefits, right? So like they don't allow you to be location independent, which means that you have to be tied to one location where people are like, wait a second, I just, like I've been doing this for the last year and a half. I've been doing great. Why am I now required to be in Ohio somewhere where I can be in Costa Rica and still do the same work and also have an amazing life? So, this just, it just makes sense. And people and companies are losing people by the droves. And a lot of them are going to these remote companies. That's why companies like Panther Deal, Oyster, Omnipresent, they're exploding. They're becoming $5 billion companies within a year. Why? Because, people want to be remote. The remote doors have been open and you just can't shut them back up. So like, you can't tell people like, oh, we have no plans of doing this thing. Like it's already there. Like everybody already tasted this. So how can you bring people back? By not giving them these great benefits. So, and not right now, it's an employees market. Employees have so many options. I don't know if most of you are aware of this, but companies are flushed with cash right now. So there's a lot of money that is out there, and companies are recruiting all the time. They need people to fill these positions. And even though for some of you it might seem like, oh, maybe there's not that much, it really is the best time, I think, in history that we're living right now. There's a lot of companies hiring, a lot of companies paying really well. So if you're not happy where you are, there's unlimited options for you. There's remote job boards, anywhere from Remotive.io, Remote OK, Work EW. There's so many job boards. So like if you type remote jobs on Google, I'm sure you'll get like a ton of job boards, and you can really choose to work anywhere you want to. And a lot of these big companies are also going remote, like Spotify is all remote. Twitter is all remote. Amazon is now telling people that's depends on your unit. You can choose to be remote. So yeah, a lot of companies are adjusting. You're able to do that and demand what you are worth, really. So, not a demand. I don't like that word demand. If it's based on like market average, yes, and you're underpaid, then definitely. And yes, inflation is going up. So if you're seeing in other job postings that the same job as yours is going for X more, I think it's only reasonable to say, hey, like I've been working here for a year, 2 years, whatever. Here's how much they're getting paid over here. Are you able to match this? And if they're not, then you're free to look in other places. And right now it's the best time. So I would encourage you to do what feels right to you. Because now you can, and it's really cool to be in this position where you are an employee or a contractor, and you can ask nicely to be treated humanely, which I love that we're offering all these great benefits. Like this is what the world should be like. It shouldn't be like, work, work, work all the time. You must be tied to this cubicle. You must be tied to this box. You must do as I say. It's more about like, how can I fit, my work into my life? And, how can I live a great life and not worry so much about my boss or this or that or Slack or, I don't know. I'm very passionate about this topic.
Yeah, and I think so. There's actually a question like, what are the benefits of hiring remote workers? So I think maybe this is a good time to just talk through what some of those benefits are, like what the competitive advantage could be of just hiring remote or borderless. Maybe talk through some of those things.
Yeah, I mean, the main benefit as we talk about diversity and inclusion, this is the ultimate diversity, right? Like having people from all over the world have a seat at the table or in your team or wherever that is. It's fantastic because we are building products for the world. Of course, some of you might only be building product for the US, but if any company has any IPO aspirations where you go public, you go global with that, right? So like if you're Airbnb, yes, you start in the US, but then you go global. Or Uber, you start in the US, you go global. So any company would benefit greatly, I think, from remote workers as their brain in the table. Now, for the pay part could be very interesting too, because some companies, let's say, Ukraine, countries like Ukraine, Albania, whatever, they pay very little for, let's say, developers. You could offer them maybe a little bit more than what they pay in the country, and then have a great competitive advantage to get some really awesome people to join you. And when you compare the rate of the Ukrainian developer to the San Francisco one, you can hire 10 of them, or 20 of them at that price. Again, I'm not saying that's right to do, because at some point, maybe that Ukrainian developer will be so good that he might go and work for a San Francisco company and get paid those rates. But still, there is a ton of opportunity of untapped talent all over the world that if you decide to go this route, it's going to be hugely beneficial to you. You will not only get really great, smart people, but also at a price that will make your company competitive. Whereas in the past, if you were just going within your, 50-mile radius, you have to pay the price that's in that 50-mile radius. Now you don't have to pay that price. You can pay the price that's in India and that's in whatever, Italy, wherever the country might be for you.
Perfect. Okay, so we have time for one last question here. And Lona, you manage large distributed teams, and so you're definitely the expert in this area. But how do you build the relationship and trust in a remote team?
Wow, great question. So I came in last year in December, basically having no members in my team, and I had to build from 0 to 14 within 9 months. And I built that, and also 0 to $1 million in revenue just for one team, and then get it to 3 to 5 million in revenue. And we have been able to do that. I think it's really, hard to say and how to build relationships, but I think if you are authentic and if you are kind and if you care about them, that it's very easy. So for me, getting this directive from the founders by saying like, hey, we want to build an amazing culture, and we've already built that culture. So we want to make sure when you come in and build this team, it's a reflection of the culture, and it's not something that you bring from outside. And this was really important for me to learn, because I came from a toxic culture where, in Silicon Valley, you treated people a certain way, you made them work a certain hours. And I just hated doing that. I hated being in my company, in my own company. I didn't want to go to the office. I didn't want to be, just see and be seen just because I had to set an example. I wanted to really come when I want to, or really enjoy my life. And it doesn't have to be in an office. And I don't have to show face just because I have to set an example. So that's why I love building this team remotely, because I was myself. I was telling them where I was living, where I was going. But at the same time, they could see my work ethic, and I could see theirs by their output and how much they cared. I think in the moment that you don't see engagement and you see people not performing, then of course there's a worry there. But luckily for me, it was really great that we built this team and people stayed with us for that time with 100% retention. Performance just kept going up. And that's because we trusted people. And I think by trusting them and giving that trust first, if they're people of good work ethic, they will return that back to you. So there is no problem there. If that person is not of good work ethic, then there's a misfit, then it doesn't fit in your culture. Therefore, you have to address it, and sooner it's better than later. But that's what I would recommend: is authenticity, trust that they will do what is best for the company, and then if not, you address that as soon as possible. But yeah, we would have
Perfect.
meetings, meetings twice a week. So basically we have an hour meeting to really get everyone face to face. And that was really great to kind of like update each other on our goals, what's everyone doing. And it was enough, like having 2 meetings a week is perfect.
Great. And then we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. If you want to skip down a couple slides. All right.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I don't know what time it is, but I think it's time to go. It was really fantastic being able to present to you these top benefits. I hope that you learned something. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Find me on LinkedIn, Lana, Aliyah, or lana@safetywing.com. Send me an email. If I can help in any other way, let me know. Now I'll give it back to hr.com.
I'd like to thank our presenter as well as all of you for joining us today. If you'd like to view this webcast again, the archived recording will be available on the hr.com website within 24 hours. The webcast credit will show in your hr.com account within 2 business days, and we'll also send you an email with your credit information. Your feedback is important to us. Please take a moment to fill out the exit survey that opened in a new browser page on your computer. This concludes our webcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.